Hello everybody, my name is Mark and this is Why I Hate the World. How you guys doing? So it is hot as hell down here in Southern California, and I think we need to make a video about Syria. So unless you've been living under a rock, you know what's going on. About a year ago, the Syrians used chemical weapons in their, against the rebels. And Barack Obama came out and said that using chemical weapons is crossing a red line through which the United States will get involved. And now it's happened again. And he is currently, as it stands now, this video has been shot before he has gone to Congress for approval. There's already been a congressional committee which has voted yes. So now next week it's going to go to the whole Congress. And they're going to vote whether or not to invade Syria. So, well, not invade Syria, but to do a military action against Syria, right? So, well, my first reaction when it comes to these things is no. That's usually it. I mean, apparently also I'm not the only one, because the last poll I saw shows that something like 71% of the country agrees with me, you know. And the main reason why, I mean, the thing is, it sounds a little too close to the justification for the Iraq War. I mean, if you think back, you know, chemical weapons and shit like that, right? That's pretty much what they told us. I mean, that's what they told us the reason to invade Iraq was about. You know, WNDs, right? And they never found them. So that's kind of my first gut reaction there, is like, hell no, you know, what are we getting into, right? But on closer inspection, this situation isn't exactly the same thing as Iraq, okay? Now, this doesn't mean that I support the invasion, because I don't, or I don't support any, you know, attack against Syria, but it's not that cut and dry if you really think about it. Unlike in the Iraq War, we actually have proof that chemical weapons were used this time, okay? There's some, there's some confusion though, like some people are saying that they were used by the rebels and other people aren't. I don't really, I mean, that's kind of hit conspiracy theory status at this point. You know, it's pretty obvious that the perpetrators were the Assad regime and not the rebels that have used the, chemical weapons, right? Some people are saying like the rockets were homemade and shit like that, and they didn't have stabilizers and all that stuff, but me personally, I haven't seen any credible news reports that's true, so, you know, and I highly, highly doubt that they would use, you know, the rebels using chemical weapons as an excuse to bomb Syria. I mean, especially considering the kind of, you know, hornet's nest that this action could stir up, so I'm not buying that myself, but, anyway, but this situation is a lot different, you know. We actually have proof that they're being used this time, right? And unlike in Iraq, this would not be a protracted invasion, you know. It wouldn't require, you know, what did Obama say? No boots on the ground. That seems to be like the catchphrase now. This will not require boots on the ground. And it would probably be an action similar to Libya, right? And for last that I heard, that when it goes before Congress, it'll be for a 60-day action, right? After which, you know, maybe possibly extended to 90 days if that's, you know, something else, right? So it's not going to be an invasion per se. It's not going to cost, you know, 10,000 lives and, you know, 10,000 American lives and $1 trillion like the Iraq War did. Now, I'm not meaning to say that makes this decision any more right, because personally I don't think it does, but it does make that decision a little bit easier to do, right? So, because, I mean, see, the problem is whenever something like this happens, you know, there's imminent, you know, military action or a war coming or whatever, people kind of lose their minds. And when I say that, it's sort of like, you know, especially now in the internet age, when everybody has the ability to express their opinion and you can read opinions from everyone in the entire world, essentially, you realize just how ridiculous, you know, the ridiculous things that people think, right? Number one, everybody turns into a foreign policy expert. That's the first thing, right? But nobody really knows what they're talking about. Like, everywhere, like all the pundits and all the bloggers and all the conservative talking heads on TV and people posting in forums and shit like that, suddenly everybody's a fucking expert on the Middle East, and suddenly they're all foreign policy experts, and Obama should do this, and if he invades here, and if he bombs here, then Iran will attack, you know, Iran will fucking attack, you know, Israel, and then Russia will get involved, and then China will get involved, and then it's World War III, and all this other shit happens, right? And, you know, then I've heard a lot of different things, you know, and the thing you got to remember is that nobody really knows what the fuck they're talking about, okay? The people that do know, the people that do have access to the intelligence is the president, okay? The president and the CIA and his joint chiefs of staffs, and, you know, those are the people that actually have the real intelligence, okay? They're the people that really know what's going on, you know, not some reporter that happens to write a story which may or may not be true, okay? So that's one thing you got to remember, is that we don't know the whole story. All right, it could very well be that this, you know, that this attack was actually carried out by rebels that were, you know, associated with Al Qaeda or whatever. I mean, highly fucking doubt it. I mean, and the reason why I highly doubt that is because, you know, they wouldn't be the president, you know, Obama and his staff are basically putting their like political careers on the line over this, you know, and if it came out that that was actually true, then they get egg on their face and it's like, it's over, you know what I mean? Like, it'd be committing political suicide in order to do that, and that's why I highly doubt that that would ever actually fucking happen. But anyway, so, you know, but I've heard a lot of stuff, and it's, you know, another thing that happens is that all the conspiracy theorists and shit come out of the woodwork and they start, you know, saying this or that, and one thing that people tend to do is they tend to read just headlines a lot and not actually read the content of articles, and they make wild conclusions from headlines, you know, things like fucking just a lot of like crazy shit, you know, like, oh, there was a natural gas field discovered in Israel and it's all about pipelines and this and that, and they draw conclusions from things that don't have much to do with each other, or may not have to do with each other or whatever, you know, and it quickly becomes a big mess, and you don't really know who to believe, right? Because everybody's talking with their fucking head up their ass. I mean, I'm not going to pretend that I'm like an expert on the Middle East, or that I'm a, you know, foreign policy expert, or I even know what the hell's going on at all. I really don't. All I can really do is see the evidence and make my own judgment and decide whether or not I want me personally to support. You know, it's a big fucking truck going by. God damn it. Right when I'm shooting a fucking video. Huge goddamn truck. Yeah, right. Fuck you, truck. Get out of here. Anyway, for like the last half hour, that guy's just been fucking sitting over there idle. But anyhow, fucking Albertsons. So, it's just, you know, but the one thing that I can say, one thing that I do know, right, is what happens in wars. And what happens in wars is that people die, okay? People die horribly, all right? And people let children get their arms and legs blown off, entire families get wiped out, okay? And it's not nice, you know. I don't know how many of you people actually bother to look up pictures of victims of war, but it's pretty fucking horrible. And I've never been in a war, and I have no desire to be in a war, because I don't want that kind of, I don't want to experience that myself, you know. And I can't, with a clean conscience, support any kind of action that would do that kind of thing towards any innocent people. You know what I mean? And it's a lot different, you know, bombing a country like this is a lot different than, say, like, you know, I don't know, airstrike against a terrorist compound, or you know, unmanned missile strike against, you know, this guy driving his car, whatever. I mean, it's different because there's going to be collateral damage. If there's a protracted air war, there will be collateral damage, you know. Lots of people will get killed, you know. Smart bombs are they're not that smart, you know, they're bombs. They blow shit up, right? They might target the wrong thing, whatever, you know. The only justification that you could possibly have is that it might limit the suffering of, you know, the Syrian civilian populace, right? But there's just I don't know, in this case there's just a lot of unknowns. You know, there's a lot of, you know, I think it was something like John Kerry said, somewhere around the area of 10 to 20% of the free, you know, Syrian rebel army could possibly be jihadists. So, but you know, there's 100,000 of them, so that comes to like 25,000. I mean, should we really be supporting these people in the first place, right? There's a lot of just, you know, it just seems like a really huge mess that we should not get involved in. And you know, and I'm not saying this because I hate President Obama. You know, I'm a Obama supporter. I've made a few videos about that in the past, you know, and I still am an Obama supporter, and I would still vote for him again. But because you support somebody politically doesn't mean that you have to go along with every single decision they want to make, you know. I think in this particular case, he's very, very incorrect, and I think this is the wrong thing to do. But I don't think that Obama is motivated by the same kind of corporate interest that George Bush was in his war. Okay? So, you know, if he is, maybe I'm just fucking delusional, but I really don't believe he is. So this either tells me that they have access to intelligence that we don't know about, or he's lying. I don't know. It could be one or the other, but either way, it doesn't really matter. What really matters is that, you know, they're about to go bomb this country and get involved in another country's civil war, you know, which may not turn out to be that nice, you know what I mean? I made a video last year about the bombing in Libya, and I actually thought that was a pretty good idea because, you know, Gaddafi was somebody that needed to fucking die. And that's all there is to it, you know. Gaddafi was actually somebody that actually, you know, there was a lot of talk about like these dictators supporting terrorists. Gaddafi actually fucking supported terrorists, all right? And, you know, is this guy Assad as bad as Gaddafi? I don't know. I really don't know. I haven't even, I'm not hip with Syrian politics. I don't know if he's, you know, he's a murderous dictator. Everybody's always going to say that because he's fucking, you know, a world leader in the Middle East. I mean, I really don't know. So I can't really make any, you know, I can't throw my support behind something that I don't know. So I have to go with the moral, you know, choice. And the moral choice says not to support military action in Syria, you know. Too much bad shit can fucking happen from it. And so I'm hoping now, because, you know, we still have probably about a week before the vote or whatever, and I'm kind of hoping that the people in Congress, you know, especially the Tea Party people, like, I think they might save the day this time, you know. And it's kind of funny to say that because I've made so many videos railing against these people because, you know, I think they're fucking a cancer on the face of the earth. But in this particular case, I think that the rabid hate for Barack Obama might actually be enough to stop, you know, to put a no vote, and then the no vote might actually like stop him from invading, you know. And in that case, then I'm gonna have to, like, you know, be thankful that we have this type of like opposition, no matter how insane it is. You know, that doesn't mean I'm gonna support those people, all right, and stop making videos about how I fucking hate them. But in this particular case, it's like, you know, we happen to agree on these two things coming at it from radically different, you know, angles. I'm really hoping that's what happens, because it might not happen, because usually the crazy conservative people are very pro blowing up the Middle East, you know, because fucking they're insane. So I'm hoping that their hatred for Obama outweighs the hatred for Muslims, and that they're actually like gonna vote no. But we'll see what happens, folks. I don't know. I mean, it could you know, it also could very well amount to nothing. You know, he could just send one missile, blow up a fucking, you know, shack in the middle of nowhere and be like, ha, and then declare victory and leave. I mean, we don't know what's gonna happen, you know. All I can say is that I don't support it for X, Y, Z, and those are my reasons, folks. So who knows, you know, the world is fucked up. Adios.